fellowships. You will have a message pop up right now. This session will be recorded. And I'm going to begin sharing my screen. Let me go ahead and share screen. So welcome everyone. Nice to see folks and just hear where everyone's coming from and hearing us out. My name is Gabby. As I already mentioned, I am one of the project coordinators for Dream Summer at the DRC, the Dream Resource Center with the Labor Center at UCLA. I'm very excited to be here and just share this opportunity and really hope that y'all consider applying for this fellowship. And if you have any questions, again, please email us, reach out to us. Jessica and myself are very accessible and we'll do the best that we can to answer any questions for today's session. A little bit about myself, I actually am an alum from the Dream Summer Fellowship Program back in 2017. I was placed at SEIU 2015. And it was really my first experience working at a labor union and doing advocacy work. I really enjoyed it. It was definitely challenging, but I grew so much both professionally and personally. And I got to meet other amazing undocumented youth leaders that had so much knowledge and were doing amazing stuff and stuff that I wanted to be involved with and had very similar values that I shared. In the fellowship, I did a lot of work with a policy analyst. I took part of supporting and creating a curriculum for democracy schools for SEIU 2015, which was to increase civic engagement with our members. I also worked alongside the organizers in increasing membership and did a lot of translations and just supporting members in facilitating that process for them. So definitely one of the highlights was just so much exposure that I got to connect with different departments and be mentored by really amazing folks, as well as just the people that I got to meet. I was placed with 5 other folks that were from Texas, one was from Northern California, and the rest were from LA. But just the fact that I got to hear folks about their experience and their undocumented experience in higher ed was really empowering, and they had so much knowledge. So definitely encouraging folks to apply, as it was a very special experience for myself. And we're definitely trying to continue on all the work that's been done by previous coordinators and just other folks that be part of the program. So I'm excited to be here, and then I'll go ahead and pass it on to my amazing colleague, Jessica.
Hi, folks. Very nice to meet you. Thank you for being present and sharing a space with us today. My name is Jessica, she, her pronouns. And similar to Gabby, I was able to participate in a Dream Summer as a fellow in 2019. And I was placed with Promesa Boyle Heights, who is a community organization, and I worked with their rapid response team and did a lot of community outreach for immigrant families and immigrant communities. And also participated a lot in their community meetings. So it was a really great experience. And then I was able to participate once more in 2020 and was placed with the Mayor's Office of Immigrant Affairs here in LA, and did a bit of different work than the previous summer, which was focused more on policy research, writing newsletters, and doing a lot more research-based work. But equally as a great experience, and very fortunate that I was able to experience both those workplaces. And then now coming back, able to lead the program alongside Gabby and get to meet new folks and take the program to new directions. So very excited to be here with y'all and hear all your questions.
So a little bit about Dream Summer. It's an annual national fellowship of the UCLA Labor Center, Dream Research Center, DRC. It's always a very long thing to say. But through Dream Summer, the DRC has provided over 800 fellowships opportunities, and we just checked, and we have a lot of folks applying, and it is very exciting just to see how much this program has grown throughout this 10-year course. We partner with over 265 social justice organizations across the country, ranging from immigrant rights focused to labor unions, to education, to healthcare. So definitely just broadening our partnerships has been very important to us. Another detail for Dream Summer is open to both experienced social justice leaders and those who wish to begin to strengthen their involvement in social justice. As I mentioned, my experience had been mostly working in community with like my institution, So I didn't think I had too much experience. So please, if anything, do not get discouraged that maybe you don't have too much experience with advocacy work. This is definitely a space where you will have that experience, and we definitely want folks to have that experience in working with these movements that are very important to us. So definitely it's not a requirement of X amount of years. The fellowship is open to all immigrant youth, regardless of immigration status. Applicants do not need to be students at UCLA or any college, high school to qualify for the fellowship. I really want to repeat that. We do not need to be UCLA student or college student to qualify for the fellowship. And in fact, we encourage a lot of folks from out of California to apply and to please, if you know folks that weren't able to make it to the session, share that information with them. Dream Summer Fellows receive a 5,000 Fellowship Award, Leadership and Professional Development Training, and become part of a national alumni network of over 800 immigrant rights leaders. We just had an alumni event last week, and it was really cool to connect with folks from a cohort back in 2013 to 2018. In 2019. And so we had folks from different cohorts, and just they were doing, some of them were starting their own nonprofit, which is just amazing. And some of them were contemplating going to graduate school. So definitely you'll be part of that network. And it's always amazing to just connect with folks, as you will find other opportunities with them or just be able to connect with them. I do want to remind folks that the fellowship award will be distributed after the completion of the fellowship. So we want to be completely transparent about that, given that it is a 10-week period, and we want to be mindful of just folks' commitment to it and just planning accordingly. And as a reminder, application is now open and will close February 11. So getting closer to that deadline. Please visit our website for just more details and updates, as well as our Instagram page, where we also share any notifications or any changes. But as of now, applications will be due February 11, 2022 at 12 noon PST time.
And then just to share a little bit more about the Dream Research Center, it was started in 2010 when immigrant youth leaders were moved by the U.S. Senate's failure to pass the Federal Dream Act to create a way of developing future leaders in the immigrant rights movement. The result was the Dream Summer Program, a national fellowship that now empowers immigrant youth to be the next generation of social justice leaders through leadership development, movement building, and on-the-ground experience in social justice organizations. We also strive to create a safe and healing space for immigrant youth to connect with one another and explore their identities and promote an intersectional, cross-racial, and multi-generational approach to social justice that addresses the needs for immigrant communities, as well as pay folks for their labor, truly. And then this is just a layout of how the program looks like. We'll detail a little more about host organizations in the next couple of slides, but the program is going to be as follows. The application is due February 11, 2022 at 12 p.m. noon PST time. I know we have some folks that are in other time zones, so please be mindful of the time that the application is due. And then it starts by the opening retreat, which happens in mid-June, which is 3 to 4 days, June 16 to the 18th. Afterwards, you immediately start your placement at your host organization, which is an 8-week placement, Monday through Friday, 9 to 5, typically 40 hours a week. And that's going to be going from June 20th to August 15th. And then you have the closing retreat, which is mid-August, another 3 to 4 days. This time around is August 17th to the August 20th. And then afterwards, you get to be an alumni and be connected to our network.
Since we have a lot of folks just applying from, I think our highest one has been New York, as well as just the DMV area, in Texas, I believe. But we also want to share just resources in terms of traveling should the retreat take place in person. This is a resource that is attached to our application guide, I believe, and if not, I definitely encouraging folks to read through Immigrants Rising's guide of traveling if you're undocumented. Just a note, this information is not intended to serve as legal advice and is not a substitute for obtaining legal advice from a qualified attorney. Just want to be transparent about that. There's always just a high level, there be a high level of anxiety when traveling when you're undocumented, and that's a very real thing, and we want to validate that and I know that that can bring up different emotions for folks. So just please take the necessary precautions and consider the following. So for domestic flights, all travelers flying on domestic flight must present a valid, unexpired photo ID issued by the state or federal government. Undocumented individuals may use the following forms of ID accepted by TSA. So it could be a state photo identity card, street driver's license, military ID, a foreign passport, but it must be unexpired, as well as other forms of identification shared in the slide. But definitely want to encourage folks that if there's any resource that you have or maybe reaching out to us as well, we can try to figure out if you don't feel comfortable when it comes to traveling. Again, we want to validate just the real anxiety and just worry that might come up when it comes to traveling. But we definitely want to share just this resource and guide folks to someone that is qualified, or just if you have a specific circumstance, definitely want to be transparent about that. Some tips that we've gotten as well from Immigrants Rising: preparing for your domestic flight, have identification ready, make sure that when you book your flight, the name on your ticket is an exact match with the ID you will be using. Secure your devices. The government is allowed to ask you for your phone, but you do not have to provide your password. Keep your information secure. Protect your devices with a number or more security password as opposed to a pattern or a fingerprint. And then most importantly, developing a safety plan. We hope that this never happens, but again, given just the circumstances of being, the realities of being undocumented, we want to share this resource and be cautious of just sharing this information with folks. So in case you get stopped, designate at least 2 people to have access to your important documents and contact info if you have your attorney or community organization, family and friends. In this case, it would also be folks from the DRC team. Share your flight information with them before traveling and discuss what you do in case anything goes wrong. We'll cover a little bit more about traveling and just costs, which is covered by the fellowship. But all of those details will be shared with the DRC team as well. So you will definitely have us as a resource. But again, we hope that that never happens, but we want to be very honest about just things that might come up for some folks and just the anxieties that are very valid. That's me, huh? Dream summer requirements. We don't have too many requirements, which is great. And I know that there is some gaps in terms of, as mentioned, traveling. But to apply, really, you have to be over 18 years old by the start of the program, have a valid IT or social security number, and this is only for processing payments of checks. And that has to be, again, valid before the start of the retreat. So if you are in the process of getting your IT, still go ahead and apply as long as you have your IT, your valid IT number before the retreat, just so that it could help us pay for all the work that you'll be doing. It's very important, but you do need their valid IT or social security number. If you need any support with that, please reach out to us and we will do our best to guide you with that process or guide you to a resource that we might have. And lastly, have demonstrated interest and experience working in immigrants' rights. We definitely want to have that still community of just that experience and working and sharing those values. So that's definitely a highlight of the program. So not necessarily a requirement, but highly encouraged to be, you'll get the most out of it if you do have this interest and experience with working with immigrant communities or direct experience specifically.
And then just to share a little bit about the host organizations that we have worked with, you would be a part of an alumni network of over 850 social justice leaders throughout the country. We have partnered with over 250 social justice organizations in 20 different states. We have partnered with Define America, Mi Gente, the Undocumented Black Network, and just other organizations. So our list is always growing. And if you have a specific organization that you want to work with, where you're going to be staying at for the summer, we highly encourage folks to include that information in your application or email us directly so we can contact them as soon as possible, because host organizations do have to apply. So that's also something that that is a bit of a process, right? So we highly encourage folks to reach out to us, to put it in your application, or even reach out to the host organization you want to work at and ask them if they would be interested in applying and doing the application, right? So we always encourage that from folks. And then for our host organization placements, you are going to be placed there for 8 weeks. You are matched based on your skills and interest. I think it just really depends on your professional and career goals, what you want to grow at, or things that you're even curious about and doing, but don't necessarily have experience. That's also something that we take into consideration once we're matching folks with their host organizations. And some of the projects that fellows have worked on has been policy research, community outreach, community meetings, social media marketing, policy analysis. So it just really it differentiates based on what you're interested in and also what host organizations are looking for. So we really try to match fellows as much as possible with their interests and challenging them in ways that will help them grow professionally as well as personally.
So as mentioned, it's a very challenging experience, but very fulfilling one. And so we do want to mention just some of the commitment and just the program expectations. As Jessica shared, there is a 40 hours per week commitment. It's a full-time, basically a full-time job during the summer, during the duration of those, both the retreat and the fellowship. So we want to be transparent about that, given that folks might have or might want to consider taking some summer school, in which case we definitely don't encourage that, just that because it oftentimes conflicts with the time commitment of the fellowship, as well as just it's a lot of work. We definitely prioritize a lot of mental health and just taking care of ourselves first. So please do not overcommit because it's going to be very challenging summer, but again, you'll get a lot from it. So just something to take into consideration, as well as that some folks might have part-time jobs, full-time jobs. So we want to share that it is going to be a 40 hours per week and typically 9 to 5. I know there's some host organizations that have some weekend events, but in which case they always communicate with fellows, as well as you can communicate with your host organization should there be a commitment of I can't really do that weekend or whatever. We are there to support those conversations and definitely encourage folks to advocate for themselves. The opening retreat is very important that folks attend the opening retreat. June 16 to 18 are the dates. And the reason why this is so important is because those retreats are in preparation for the fellowship. So we host different speakers and folks that can facilitate workshops on either navigating just professionalism, understanding what labor unions are or the work that you'll be doing, and a lot of maybe some soft skills. So I know that in previous years we've done like a Canva training, since some folks do a lot of flyers or work with department they're given host organization. So the opening retreat is, as much as it is about building community and getting to meet other folks, it's also about just preparing you all for the work that you'll be doing during the duration of the fellowship. And it's 3 days, so it goes by super fast. And but we are very intentional with the types of workshops that we put out and who we partner with. There is a closing retreat. And this is more for a deep brief reflections, again, building community with folks. And then we do have more workshops, and that's more professional development opportunities. So we've had workshops on entrepreneurship, how to start your own business while being undocumented, graduate school. I always like to say that for mine, we had like a dancing workshop that was facilitated by one of the fellows. So we give opportunities for the fellows of the cohort to facilitate a workshop that they feel very passionate about. So depending on just the need of the cohort and on the wants of them as well, we tailor those workshops as well. So that it's very much so a deep brief moment and just a moment to be in community and really gain so much more knowledge with these different workshops. In regards to being remote, in person, or hybrid, please indicate your comfort level in the application. We understand that things given just the nature of COVID, we are monitoring it by a month-by-month basis. And so we understand that, just things might be different for folks. So depending on just your comfort level, whether you can select remote, in-person, or hybrid, and we will do our best to partner you with an organization that can be accommodating. For the most part, organizations that we've spoken to have said that they will be accommodating to folks, with the exception of some labor unions, and only because of the nature of the work that has to be done in person. But again, the safety of folks is priority, so just make sure to do your best to see where you will be at during those months, and then we will do our best to partner you. But again, priority would be the safety and just comfort of you. And again, I want to emphasize just the fellowship award. It is distributed after the completion of the fellowship. And the reasoning behind that is just that is the process that we have currently with UCLA. And so we want to be just cautious of sharing that, just because folks will have to budget accordingly to their expenses during the summer. We opening retreat and closing retreat are covered. If you are traveling outside of LA, you will be placed at the hotel. Food, hotel, and flight are covered, and everyone's food, is covered as well. But just any other expenses are not. So that's just something to keep in mind as you're considering applying for this fellowship. Another expectation is that there are weekly check-ins with supervisors. You will have a supervisor with your host organizations, which would be the person that would guide you to your projects that you will be doing, or any meetings that you'll be facilitating or supporting with or being part of. And you will also have supervisors with the Dream Resource Center team, which is Jessica, myself, and other folks at the DRC. Our check-ins are more informal, we just want to see how the fellowship is going, how we can support if you feel like you might not be learning or might not have met your expectations. We definitely want to ensure that you have a good experience, and that if you're there to learn about marketing or whatnot, that we can guide that, or that we do our best to support in ensuring that you have a fulfilling experience. But definitely those check-ins are very important, and just so that that we are here as a resource as well. There is an opening and closing retreat survey, which is also a commitment that you put before even applying. I think it's still is in the application. And the reason behind that is because you all have so much knowledge and experience. And so our programming cannot happen without your voice, without your insight on how to improve the program. There's definitely a lot of gaps, and there's definitely room for improvement. And so the way that we improve that is really through all of the knowledge that y'all carry. And so, which is why it's so important for y'all to be as transparent as possible. Those surveys are anonymous in sharing just how the program can improve and what you did like about it. So all of that feedback is welcome, even from this session. We are very big on feedback. Constant communication will probably be the top in terms of the commitment and the expectation. Any changes that you foresee happening, should you be accepted to the program, should be communicated immediately. Just to ensure that we can support in whatever capacity that we can, and to ensure that you're also feel comfortable with moving forward with the process, and that there aren't issues in terms of payment and things like that. So we very much so appreciate communication. We also do our best to be transparent and just communicate with folks about where we're at. So that would be probably, started constant communication. You are not bothering, it's not a dumb question. Please communicate any changes or any questions that you might have even prior to starting. So if you have questions about application or something that's very specific, refer to the application guide and the frequently asked questions, but also feel free to reach out to us via email. We're very accessible. Typically we respond within a day.
And then just to share some things that we're looking for in terms of applicants, we're definitely prioritizing folks with a lived experience in immigration issues, and highly encourage LGBTQ and non-DACA folks to apply. We are also asking for folks to be flexible and adaptable. there is a lot of changes that constantly happen with COVID, as well as with maybe your host organizations. So we definitely are looking for folks that are able to adapt to different work environments, right? Because it's still a professional opportunity. So we definitely ask that from folks. And we're also looking for individuals seeking to grow personally and professionally and be willing to be challenged. As we mentioned before, it is a short summer, but it's sometimes a very intense summer. So we ask for folks to be open to that and open to having these conversations and being present at the program and being present with the stories that not only you're sharing, but also the rest of your cohort is going to be sharing with us, right? So we definitely want to build that community and be that resource for you all. So that's something that we asked for in applicants.
All right, so a few more slides, folks. How to apply. So our application process, I would say, is fairly simple. You visit our website and we'll make sure to share that information. Typically, if you just type in Dream Resource Center UCLA, it will be like the first up, but we'll make sure to share the direct link to our website. In it, you will find the application guide, the frequently asked questions, and just a link to apply. You will be required to complete an application just with questions with personal information, your name, your major, things of that nature, demographics, as well as other details, in which case it would be if you're a TheDream.US scholar, which we really please ensure that you input that information as yes, so that we are aware that you're applying from TheDream.US. Typically, the application is 30 to 60 minutes that should take you, and that just includes just the information, your personal information about what you're interested in working on, some skills. It's a very lengthy application, but it should not take you more than 30 to 60 minutes, depending on just how fast you want to do it. We definitely encourage folks to take their time in reading the instructions and reading all of the notes that we've inputted, just as disclaimers and just to be transparent with folks. Very important. So that will be just the application piece, but prior to that, we highly encourage folks to have their letter of recommendation, their essay response, and their resume ready before, so that way you'll apply for you'll do the application and you can just upload the documents. And so with that, it would be 60 minutes. But if you don't have the prompt responses and the resume, of course, it'll take you a lot longer, depending on how much time you'll dedicate to the essay prompts. And Jessica will talk a bit more about the reading section.
And then as Gabby mentioned, for the written section, you have 4 prompts that you have to answer. And the resume, 1 letter of recommendation from professor, supervisor, and organization, past employer, student organization, faith group, etc. We're really looking for folks that have worked with you and can speak on your character and the work that you have done, and maybe the professional goals that you want to accomplish. We're not necessarily looking for anyone from a certain position or whatnot. It's just really someone that can speak on behalf of the work that you have done. That will really give us an insight of who you are as an applicant and who you will be as a fellow. And then we also have an optional submission. So if you want to showcase any other work that might be relevant, some folks have submitted flyers for events that they have done. I know I submitted my senior thesis 1 year that I was applying because it was just relevant to the work that I wanted to do. And it's just to give us a more holistic view of who you are, and it's not a requirement, it's just an optional step if you have that and want to do that portion as well.
And I think additionally, just this is the space where you really can share a little bit more about yourself, and would allow us to just match you with a good host organization. So I say that Prompt Day is also an opportunity for you all. If you want to do marketing communication, or you have like a memo and you want to do policy, that would allow us to connect you with a host organization that matches those skills. And then just to echo Jessica, the letter of recommendation, really someone that speaks highly of you and I like to share that. Sometimes folks can share a lot more of the things that you've done. I know that for myself, I had a difficult time sharing the accomplishments that I had done, but the person that did my letter recommendation was just like bragging about me, and I'm like, oh yeah, I had done that, but I didn't even think about sharing it. This is the opportunity, and don't shy away from, don't sell yourself short, basically.
And then just to give some folks some tips about writing your application, make sure to keep your essay short but concise. Make sure that you're addressing the question and you're thinking critically about what you're writing, because we definitely look at the content and the content that you're writing. We don't look at like how many words you've written. We just really want to make sure that you're answering the prompt, because they give us an insight again as where to match you, what kind of professional goals you wanna have for yourself. And then we already talked a little bit about the recommender. So make sure that your letter of rec it's going to be submitted by you in the application. So make sure to have that ready already. And you ask for folks with enough time to write that letter of rec. And then just highlighting your ability to work independently. As you know, that sometimes you are placed with other folks, but more often than not, folks are placed by themselves in their host organization. So we're really looking at folks who can work independently and take initiative. And highlight any previous work done in immigration or describe how Dream Summer would help you achieve your career goals. So it's not a requirement. Once again, you don't have to have years of experience working in immigration issues. We're really just looking to see if we can help you with your goals and your career path and give you that experience. That's our main goal as we partner with different organizations that focus on education, healthcare, and other issues that fellows are interested in. And the last part, don't sell yourself short. You are full of knowledge. Other work that you have accomplished, that's what we want to read. We really want to see who you are as an applicant, and you are all amazing, and we have the most faith in you all. So please don't sell yourself short. Show off the work that you've done, show off your goals, show off what you want to do and accomplish, because we believe in y'all, and we really do believe that it's important for us to pay you for the labor that you will do and have done for the past couple of years. So please show off your knowledge, show off who you are. That's something we definitely want to see. And then for this question, will Dream Summer 2022 be virtual? We really want to be completely transparent with folks. Right now, we have said the retreats are going to be in person, but COVID is constantly changing and constantly, you know, changing the situation for folks. And our number one priority is to keep fellows safe. So as of right now, we're still on the fence of whether it's going to be in person or if it's going to continue to be virtual. So we'll communicate that with folks as soon as we have a clear question on that, simply because we want to be transparent and we want to know that folks sometimes are looking for more in-person experiences, but sometimes the situation doesn't allow us to, but we'll definitely communicate with you all as soon as those decisions are made.
I would want to clarify as well that this is in regards to the retreat. The fellowship itself would be depending on the host organization. The majority of our host organizations that we've spoken to, again, we ask for some grace, given that it's just a month by month basis that just the impact of COVID has had in the realities that folks are living is very real. So it's just a matter of being patient with us, and we will do our best to communicate and really give you all the tools that you need to be able to prepare, given if it's in person or virtual. So I just wanted to add that.
And then just to recap a little bit, the application will be due February 11, 2022 at 12 p.m. noon PST. I think I already shared the link to the website. I also shared the link to the application guide and frequently asked questions. Are those full with knowledge, and they will really help you in your journey to applying. And then we also have our social media handles here on the corner. So any updates, any urgent changes will always be communicated through our social media. So I encourage y'all to take a look at our social media. And then that up here is also the website of the UCLA Dream Summer Fellowship. So please consider applying and consider being part of this fellowship.
We really want to thank everyone and we know that this was a lot of information and some folks might still be processing it. So just thank you so much for sharing this space with us, and we hope that this was helpful. And we can't stress enough how much we want folks to apply, to consider applying. And should you have any hesitation, please let us know either through now the space for questions, or via email if you don't feel fully comfortable sharing your question right now. I think right now we can stop recording, and then we can move on to our